Recording.
Hello and welcome to Gigsy Creator Central. My God, it's been a while and wow, do we have some familiar faces here or what? Not the guy next to me, we've always been talking quite a bit. But if you look at this dude and this dude, no
I think
guesses?
I, I think we're at different locations on everyone's screen.
Yeah, like
Are
I
we?
did,
for
I
me,
did
it's
want to
like
spoil the surprise for him, but yes,
Shucks.
that's
You
Vikram
just
being
watch
Okay.
it
Vikram for
outside
you
of my
folks.
phone like this.
Sorry, I'm challenged quite a bit directionally. But
In many
yeah,
ways.
yeah. So let me quickly introduce these people in case you don't recognize them. A tall bloke, the auburn-looking bloke with, who's sitting in a studio. And please show me your drumsticks in case you have your drumsticks with you somewhere. No, you don't.
oh,
Yeah, but he's the
somewhere,
drummer. I just said drumsticks. I gave it away. So that's
yeah,
Yadhu. Yeah, there he is. That's Yadhu. That's Yadhu. Yadhu is probably one of
proof.
the it's probably one of the most foremost,
Yeah.
the best drummer in India by a long shot, at least in my opinion, right? And yeah, both these guys are pretty modest about it, but we let that be. This is just my opinion, and I'm happy to have an opinion. And he's played
Thanks,
for
man.
Versus. He continues to play for Agam and Sona Mahapatra. The MTV thing, the best drummer in India. Yadu, when was that?
No, that was a long time ago. That was like 9 years ago. That if you're talking about the reality
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
That was that was way
Good
long ago.
Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I've had the good fortune of playing together with Yadu in the same band as well. And the guy never misses a beat. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming today and,
My
graciously
pleasure. My
accepting to
pleasure.
be part of the interview. And Tony Das, cannot able to need any introduction.
Yeah, I've been here before. Everyone knows my face already.
Thermal and a quarter, Moksha, People Tree, Bhumi, Sandeep Chauta. The list is endless. Again,
Oh
one
man.
of the
No, that's it.
nicest.
That's the list. It's not. Yeah, the list.
And he keeps getting shout-outs from Ehsan Nurani about, the guitar, the Fender signature guitar from Ehsan Nurani and all of that, right? That also. So, yeah, Tony is again one of the foremost guitarists in India and someone who is a very, very sweet person, right? So, both
Oh man.
both
He
these
is.
guys are.
Yeah. He's super.
Oh,
I know that.
I mean,
Hey,
I see too many people
you can't
saying
get
this.
up on.
Lots of good karma coming your way, Tony. But thank you so much for joining us today. Arvind is going to be taking charge of this interview very, very soon. But let's quickly talk about why we are here today, right? The topic is to understand new age art and survival basis where we are today in the context of COVID-19 and all of that. Art has had to undergo many changes in the past few months, and different artists are responding in different ways. Some are struggling to survive, while others are doing okay. Some have changed their line of work. A few have adapted to this change by changing the times. And in all of these times of online concerts, streaming, piracy, how can artists survive? How do we support artists? How do we enable artists to survive? That is the crux of today's discussion. So very happy to have two really, really cool artists with us today from the music fraternity. Very, very happy to hear their voices and hear their opinions on this topic. And from now on, I will let Mr. Arvind take care of the interview and I will be a fly on the wall.
You guys know why I have got this job, right? It's because nobody else wanted it. Anyway, thank you once again, Yadu and Tony, for being a part of this. And we were chit chatting a little bit in the beginning, and I think the stuff that Vikram was talking about, that already popped up in like the brief 5-10 minute conversation that we had. So let's dig in, right? We know that we're in this time of crisis. We know that the whole world is undergoing pretty much a paradigm shift. The way things are working are completely changing, right? Other industries have been either upended, like travel and tourism has like just evaporated overnight, and music and art is kind of, well, it's facing an upheaval of sorts. So let's start at the beginning, right? Right now, in
Yeah.
this crazy world that we're living in, what do you think are the challenges that the majority of artists, it could be musicians, dancers, singers, whatever, you name it, right? What do you think
Yeah.
are the challenges that artists are facing? Tony, why don't you take a stab at it because you seem very content? So,
Just because I'm the old guy, right? um, so there's just the one big, fat, obvious thing that's really, I'd say, the only insurmountable challenge as opposed to any of the other soft challenges that we're facing. And that is we can't perform anywhere,
Hmm.
and that is a huge hit for, they call the performing art. If you take
Yeah.
away the performing, then you have art, which is cool, but it's pretty much you in your bedroom doing your thing.
Hmm.
And especially for musicians, um, actually not even only for musicians, for everyone. For dancers, it's even worse because I was
True.
going to say, especially for musicians, over the years with the move to completely digital media, uh, you know, uh, the sales, actual physical sales or digital sales of albums has, the revenue has been decreasing and decreasing as, what the thing is. Like, where
Hmm.
nobody's
Hmm.
really making, unless you're Beyonce, you're not making money from album sales, or at least you're not making sensible money from album sales.
Right.
So, you take away the only thing that is a viable source of income for performers, and what do you have? It's
Hmm.
you're stuck up a creek without a paddle, as they say, and for dancers, it's even worse because they don't even have the meager income that you get from the online sales thing.
Hmm.
They don't even have that because for them it's almost completely uh, a performing space. Of course, there are videos and things like that, but nothing set up to earn them continuous income by way of royalties and things like that, like we musicians may have.
Right.
As minimal as that may be, at least in concept or in name, we have that kind of stuff.
True. True. Yadu, what do you feel?
Yeah. Uh, I mean, we've all got completely, off guard. And we never saw this coming, and no one ever planned to even, uh, I mean, most of my musician friends. I mean, I just kept asking them, how you guys managing for the next 2 3 months?
Hmm.
Have you saved up? Most of them they haven't because no one
Right.
knew this, right?
Right.
No one knew this at all, and now, like now, you're planning to now uh, start worrying about your savings and start worrying about okay, now everyone's doing online
Hmm.
and they've not prepped well and there are no enough equipment. Everyone's locked down in completely different places.
Hmm.
I mean, this is the new normal as we
Hmm.
as we all know now, and I guess it'll take some more time for most of them to get used to this
Yeah.
and to come out of it. And yeah, as I mean, as Tony was saying, performing arts. I mean, we need space right now. I mean,
Hmm.
we can't. I mean, it's great that I see so many people performing online, and it's great. It's amazing. We are trying to change,
True.
but where's that experience? I mean,
True.
I want to feel that. Like, I can't feel it through any gadget, no
Hmm.
matter what. I mean, you do your best, best cameras. You put some 100
Sure.
DSLRs. I won't feel it. So yeah, I mean, this is what I'm just every day thinking about this and trying to evolve as we all have to evolve.
Hmm.
This whole
You
issue,
know,
yeah,
what you're saying, what both Tony and Yadu, what both of you are saying makes a lot of
yeah,
sense to me. And I think the biggest challenge, right, and as Tony pointed out, of being a member of a performing artist, right, is that we feed off the energy of the audience, right? When we have the audience there, the way they react, right? I know this because I do some speaking, public speaking. I have a friend who's a magician, an amateur magician, but still, right? When we have the crowd, that's when we can actually go forth, and that's when it's fun. That's when we can actually make sense. That's there.
yeah,
And of course, like you said, yeah, a lot more people are also popping up and saying that, hey, you know what, I'm going to be sharing my stuff on the internet. That's fine, but the vibe, right, the vibe's completely missing.
the vibes completely missing, yeah.
That's really a big challenge. But do you think that there are other things that are also causing challenges for these artists, for artists like, it could be musicians in any field, apart from not being in the same room as the audience? What do you think are some challenges that are holding them back?
I feel we are especially when it comes to artists, we are always super involved in the creation of art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we don't know how to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we need to really learn the art of it as well. And I feel uh, I'm learning as well when it
Mm-hmm.
along with time. And most of the musicians, we definitely need to learn tools how to promote ourselves. And there are so many opportunities right now where you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have to dive in, and creating is beautiful, but also you need to
Mm-hmm.
reach out to, your fans, your people,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to figure out ways to do it.
Yeah. Tony, what is
Yeah.
your take on this? What do you think are some of the problems that artists are facing apart from not being, able to be in the same room? You did hint at something in your earlier answer where you spoke about, that consistent, predictable revenue generating activity that's not there. But is there anything else?
Yeah. So even I'm kind of holding this right now. So it's not even, as it is even on a good day or in a good month
Uh-huh.
for a lot of musicians, we're not even talking about consistent revenue because,
Hmm.
it is what it is. You get a gig when you get a gig, you don't when you don't have a gig. So it's not even revenue, it's just consistent. It's just even any kind of revenue. So,
Hmm.
that's been completely uh, taken away for the time being.
Hmm.
It's kind of forced us to kind of look at other ways of doing things. But even in the best case, even if this whole Corona thing had not happened,
Hmm.
um, making the art or the music space somewhere where you could kind of find some consistency is, that's a big plus for anyone who's in this or any kind of performing art
Hmm.
field.
Hmm.
Uh, in fact, it's something that, as you guys know, I was starting to try to dabble with a bit.
Hmm.
But as usual with everything, I took my time and I just, I went about it too slowly, and I was like, okay, tomorrow, 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 and that never happened. So, so this whole situation kind of made me think, okay, I was just on the verge of doing this, of getting into a space where I would be doing some
Hmm.
more creative stuff online. And so, let me finally, this situation brought everything else to a halt. Let me
Hmm.
just like jump over that cliff and,
True.
get into it. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think,
But
yeah, go ahead, please.
no, I was just gonna reiterate that. So the consistency of basically making it like a guy with a day job. You go do your job every day and you put in the work and you get something at the end of the month that kind of makes up for the soul
Yeah.
sucking drudgery that you have
So
to
true.
put up with. But not to say
That
that I'm not considering what we do soul sucking drudgery. The benefit is that we get to do something that means a lot to us and that we love and that we enjoy and that brings us fulfillment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, so that in itself is a huge thing. But to be able to get some consistency out of all of this is definitely a big plus.
Right. It's funny that you use the phrase day job because as being someone who has just managed, as I believe, to escape the 9 to 5 or the day job so that I could strike out on my own. The points that you make about consistency and that dependable income, right? That seems to be almost a holy grail for musicians, if you will, right? That's something that, or not just musicians, any artist, any creator as such, we want to have that, like, hey, at the end of the month, I'm having this X amount of money coming into my account. This is interesting, and I believe that with this whole thing that's been happening in the world, right, with this coronavirus, the lockdown, the whole work from home, this whole gig economy sort of a thing that's been kicking in, I think it's just kind of accelerated this entire process, right? Earlier, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that earlier we had this freedom to say that, hey, you know what, I'm going to iterate, I'm going to make these small mistakes, small experiments, take these baby steps, and then, while I have my one foot in on this boat of having a steady income, I can go ahead and try this, and then I can make that shift. But now it's completely different. It's like now, like for many people, I'm sure you guys can add to this, it's like a do or die kind of a moment, right? So tell me, Yadu, what do you think? How do you think we could perhaps artists, who are perhaps much earlier on in their journey, people who are just setting out, people who wish to make a difference in the world, because I think that's how all musicians start out, right? Like
yeah.
we have that thing inside us that we want to share, that we want to share with the world, that we want to bring to life. How can
Yeah.
they survive in this situation? If not survive, what can they do to get better?
Uh, so even before the pandemic, I'm talking about India. So
Hmm.
there are a lot of musicians coming up right now. Like there's so many drummers, so many guitarists, so many. I mean, I'm just talking about music right now. So there's so many
Hmm.
artists coming out every single day. And when it comes to India, we have, we don't have a lot more. We don't have venues to even, showcase these.
Venues.
Right?
Okay.
We don't have venues, and uh, when everyone wants to, bring their talent out and they want to showcase it, and it's all online. Even
Hmm.
before the pandemic, it's
Hmm.
happening. It's already happening. So now if this is the new normal,
Hmm.
and then if this is what where we are headed,
Hmm.
and I feel that everyone have to be, have to get used to this and try to push themselves. Do not be lethargic.
Hmm.
I mean, as Tony said, you have to be committed to what you're doing.
Right.
It I mean, I'm a very lazy person, so I have to like keep pushing myself like every half an hour. I mean, I'll be doing something, I'll just
You
switch and I'll
can't,
be like lying down. So
you
I'll be lying
can't,
down and
you
sorry.
can't fool us with that one. We've seen you drum on stage, and there's no way any lazy person would be able
So
to
I
do
so
that.
I really
Is
have
that
to
much
like keep
work?
pushing myself. So that's what I mean. I'm just trying to say that if we all have to like just push ourselves and
Yeah.
try to get used to this
Hmm.
and be okay with it, because you need to do this. You want to showcase your art, and you have your own friends and followers who will back you up, and you have
Hmm.
to reach using a media. And yeah, I mean, that's what I want to say.
I get that. I get that. So,
Yeah,
Yadav, this is what I'm hearing from you. Uh, a
yeah,
solution to the present predicament that new age art and artists are facing. One would
yeah,
actually have to be like people with more, let's say, reach or people with a platform. They will need to
yeah,
provide a venue, either virtually or in person, so that
yeah,
artists can come up and showcase what they're doing. That's number one. Number
yeah,
two, as artists themselves, we'll need to essentially start pushing ourselves because what used to work before is not necessarily going to work now, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I have one more thing to add to it, and it just builds upon what you're saying, which is I think it's now time for us to pick up a whole new set of skills, right? Like I think you mentioned that about everything's moving online, but then now suddenly it's not just going to be like Tony and Yadu. It's going to be like Arvind and Vikram and perhaps like about 3 million others who are going to be joining. I think Vikram had some stats about I think it was what like 1,000 new YouTube creators hit 1,000 fans every how many days was it?
So 2,500 YouTubers hit 1,000 subscribers every day,
Every day,
every
Wow.
single day. Yeah.
every single
Wow.
day. Okay. So
And
now,
man,
all of them are fighting for the same pie,
hmm,
right? So
my God.
you can only
Hmm.
imagine how difficult it is, going to become to actually make money out of ad revenues and all of that,
hold
right?
up, hold
So
up, hold up. I do have a slightly different perspective. I agree with Vikram when he's saying that it's going to be difficult, right? And they're all fighting for the same piece of pie, but a different pie, like I think it's the Greek letter pie, right? The one horizontal bar with two vertical
Yeah, yeah,
bars. I think that is the answer. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. Okay, as musicians, Tony, Yadu, everybody else who's watching this video, you probably have deep expertise in one area. That is your music, right? I mean, you are unmatched, and this is like there's no doubt about that. But I'm going to say it's now time for us to build up the second leg of the pie, right? Each one of us will now have to transform and become this pie-shaped individual, where we now start developing an alternate competency, something that supports our existing expertise. Like we're already good at music. I mean, not me. Like I'm so sorry. I'm just taking this chance to say, yeah, I'm really good at music. So anyway, you again,
yeah,
you are good at music, right? But now you probably, as an artist, you might need to develop this business side of things, or perhaps it could even be how do you get discovered online, or how do you start monetizing, whatever you like to do, because that'll then exactly like tie back to what Tony was saying in the beginning as well, right? That consistent side the consistent income that needs to come has to come from us knowing how to take what we know and what we know really well and being able to make money from that. Tony, what do you think about this? Yadu spoke about having venues. or platforms online. He also spoke about us needing to push ourselves. I've added that we need to develop this business side of sense, right? Like business side of skills. What else do you think can help creators survive and work towards this? Well, making a living from what they enjoy doing.
Huh. I think it might be included in the in what you mentioned about developing the business side of things,
Hmm.
but I think like some sort of a delivery system where you're able to present your whatever it is that you do, your art, your creation, your music, your dance to a bunch of people that are on the same wavelength, and
Hmm.
probably to consistently new people every day or every month or
Right.
every week, or you know I think finding people is I think it's the biggest challenge, because if you look at all kinds of, say, music, because that's
Hmm.
what I know more about than anything
Sure,
else.
sure. Hey, if you guys are
uh,
okay, we can just keep this about music going forward. I'm absolutely cool with that because the lessons that we're going to be learning here will translate to everything from magic to public speaking to drawing and Bharatanatyam, right? So please,
Yep,
let's
yep.
just go ahead with that.
okay. So you listen to the whole spectrum of things that people are creating nowadays, and
Hmm.
some of it to many of us
Hmm.
uh, might seem so incredibly weird, and something that we
Weird,
might
you
not,
say?
yeah, have any interest in listening to more than for the novelty value of listening to this piece of music once.
Hmm.
But I think you'll find that almost everything nowadays has an audience. It might be a much smaller audience, it might be a extremely niche audience,
Hmm.
but an audience of people who will take the trouble to seek you out and listen to you and follow you,
Hmm.
and develop some sort of a connection with the artist.
Hmm.
And usually, I don't want to be too cliche about it, but usually the smaller the following, the more intense the following. Like, I think
Right.
there's a bit of a mythology around this whole music thing also. It's like, oh, this guy's undiscovered. He or she is my artist. I don't want to share them with the world.
By
They're
artist.
all
I
mine.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why you see the smaller followings are more like hardcore, and of course you have the huge followings as well,
Hmm.
among which there will be a small following that is very hardcore. But
Right.
both ends of the spectrum. So all kinds of, I think there are takers for almost all kinds of things that you're likely to create.
Hmm.
Um, I think you just have to keep creating and
Sometimes Tony does happen, to get really choked with all the
and
emotion he has. So he just takes a moment and now he's back. Yes, Tony, we can hear you.
You're back, Tony.
And for those of you who are watching this video, this is what happens, right? This is life. And when life throws us a googly like this, it is in our best interest to adapt. We could freeze, we could disconnect, or we could wait for Tony to rejoin and pick up where he left off.
sorry, I was getting a call. Um, Maybe I should turn off my. No, I can't do that because data gone. Okay, anyway, oh great, now I forgot what I was saying. Ah yes, so an audience for everything, and I think uh, just based on my assessment of the whole thing, our
Hmm.
biggest challenge is finding the right audience, the kind of audience that will connect with your music, because they're out there. So
Hmm.
it's not even about finding them; it's about somehow getting to them. Um,
This line, I'm curious because you mentioned this before as well. And this is a question for both Tony and Yadu, right? How did you guys go about building an audience for yourself, right? Like I want to hear about your journey, right? Like how did you start? How did you, what were the challenges you faced? Maybe one or two of them. And what is the thing that you do, right? That feels most natural to you, something that gives you joy when it comes to building your audience, right? I'm going to give you guys a small, like a 10-second gap to think about it while I just prattle on and try to keep the audience's attention because that is one of my natural gifts. And with that, you can see the funny faces that Vikram's making. Thank you for the assist, Vikram. But
That's
now,
that's one of his natural gifts.
all right, Yadu, you want to take a stab at this first? What is your journey
Yeah.
like?
I mean, so I was just thinking of, I'm just coming to current day scenario. Like I'll go back like how I started, but
Yes,
talking about
please.
today, uh, I'm really thankful for every supporter and every fan and every. I don't want to say fan. I just followers. Yeah,
Okay.
I like to follow better than fan. Yeah. So everyone who supports and who follows me, and I'm super blessed for that. I know that uh, there are a lot of fan following with the artists whom I play with,
Mm-hmm.
be it Agam or be it Sonam Mohapatra and be it any other artists. But it's amazing that every musician has their own set of following,
Mm-hmm.
and people do come repeatedly to watch the musicians as well, not only the main artist. And there are they probably they're also musicians and they're also aspiring maybe a guitarist, drummer, whoever. So
Right.
they want to see you, and I know these 10, 20 people who constantly support me and and regularly talk to me on Instagram, and
Sure.
the best thing I feel that you interact with them, and because they're the one who is actually regular supporting you, and they are your people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I completely value them, and I talk to them, and if they want to meet me, I meet them, because this is the family you're creating right now,
Right.
and this is your follower, right?
Right.
And I guess we have to start with this, and then it builds on. Then the word of mouth, okay, I
Word of
mean,
mouth.
just word of mouth, and it just spreads, and then probably you will have your own set of followers. You can
Mm-hmm.
just keep working on it. I mean, the point over here I'm trying to say is, respect what you get, and just
Mm-hmm.
don't take it for granted, because it's very difficult to get at least 5 people to follow you constantly. It's a blessing. Don't
Okay.
take it for granted. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Yadu. Tony, what is
Yeah.
your take? What is your journey?
So
Hmm.
back in the day when the dinosaurs ruled the earth,
I love that beginning.
um,
I love that.
that's kind of when I started compared to this young man here. Um,
Wait.
so
Yadu,
it
he's
wasn't.
talking about me. Just clarifying.
Uh,
Young man over here.
you
Yes,
wish.
sir.
There's no young man over here, dude.
So much of a wedge. Yeah.
Vikram, do not be so jealous. Please go back on mute. Be the fly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I started off doing this thing, this was not even a thing. Um, I mean, like the whole. It was not even something that you considered. Partly because
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't. Uh, we didn't think of like getting an audience and developing. We thought you play in a band, people like you, they call you, play for more shows, and eventually you become Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
But that, as we soon found out, was not the case. Um, so back in the day, it was a little harder uh, to kind of get people to be aware of you, especially globally,
Mm-hmm.
because the internet was what it was. It was text files basically, and there wasn't a lot of file sharing was big, I guess, back in the day, even
I think
early on.
LimeWire and Kazoo or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that way people got to know about bands and stuff like that. I think there was a fandom and there was the same kind of cult intense followers, but it wasn't as easy and it took a lot of time. But also at the same time, there was a lot of a lot less people doing it. So I
Mm.
think everything scaled up at the same pace, or I think maybe even the number of musicians or the
Mm-hmm.
number of people making music might have grown exponentially compared to those consuming it. So nowadays, I think that this whole digital thing that we do
Mm-hmm.
is necessary because with the amount of people making music nowadays, um, it would be impossible to find any kind of audience if this were not possible.
True.
I mean, if we didn't have the internet, it would be, I can't imagine what it would be.
Yeah.
But so that was how it was when you guys were all young, when I started. But
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony.
and but then nowadays all us oldies kind of slowly became aware of how necessary it became um, to engage in all of these platforms and social media stuff, Facebook and now Instagram and all of those things. So we started slowly adapting to it. It's kind of like Yadu mentioned earlier, kind of unwillingly. Um, but those who kind of jumped on it and kind of pursued it with fervor, I think they kind of reap a lot of the benefits of that because early adopters, I think they found that it worked out pretty well for them. But yeah, nowadays I think everyone's on the same page. Everyone's aware of how big it is a contributor to what it is that we're doing. There, of course, I'm not saying everyone's equal. There are people whose social media game is extremely strong, and they know, they say all the right things and they do all the right things and all of those sorts of things. So yeah, it's a different, like you mentioned earlier, it's a different talent in itself. Engaging people in a way that is not your art.
Right.
Marketing basically.
Of course.
It's not even, it might end up being marketing, but, it's just a bunch of people wanting to present their work in a light or glimpse of their work in a light that might be attractive to a potential consumer, to get them interested.
This is interesting because what I'm hearing, Tony, is I think one of the main things that any creator can do right now is to realize that this is now a period of change. Like for you, when the internet first came out, when people jumped onto it, that signified. I'm sorry, I was there. I was there. Okay, I have used MS-DOS. I've used 3.1. I'm that old.
I'm old too. I'm older than him, in fact. Yeah.
Yes. Believe it or
I'm the
not.
oldest.
Sure.
But what I'm getting is like in times of change like this, right? This is a very good time for all sorts of creators to kind of capitalize on this thing. If now is the time, which is like, what if this signals the era of virtual concerts? What if this is the era of mass personalization? I don't know, but obviously some change is happening and it's very ripe for creators to take action on. That's what I'm getting from you, Tony. And from Yadu, what I'm hearing is one of the best ways for us to solve the challenges that we're facing is to not treat this as, oh God, this is something I have to do, but more at like the 10, 20, 30 people that you spend. You're building your own family, right? We can't choose the family that we are born to, but what we can choose is the family that we are building and approaching it in that aspect, right? And then tying it back to what to what Tony said as well. This is marketing, yes, but marketing is not a icky, dirty word. It's about you taking the best facets of yourself, the best parts. Like you're a creator, you make music, you have a very unique voice, you have a unique perspective, and the world needs to hear that. And this is your opportunity to take all of that, put it out there so that, well, you know what? Even if you don't get, like, let's say 300 million fans, if you get that family of like 30, 40, 50 people who can support you, right? That itself is a big win. And of course, this ties back to this whole Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans article as well. And I'm really happy that you guys shared this because I think this is the kind of stuff that needs to be said. Because when you go out, right, you search, right, about like how can I make money online and all that. Everything has been, I'd rather say, rehashed and regurgitated, right? And it's been like distilled. And only thing is like this tactical stuff that you get there, right? Like, hey, make sure your photos on Facebook don't have more than 20% text, or you optimize your keywords and this. Okay, but what you need to know is the stuff in there, right? And the stuff in here somewhere, right? The point is this, that's what you guys are talking about. And I think that's like far more valuable advice than knowing how I can optimize my YouTube videos. That is important. But that being said, unless you have that content, unless you have that approach, and that heart and that voice to actually go forth and doing this, I think it's going to be a lost cause. So thank you both of you for sharing that. We are almost approaching the end of this interview, so I have about two questions left before I hand it over to Vikram. Okay, so please just hold on to your horses. We're almost done. You guys did share something about building a deeper bond, and I got that from Yadu as well as Tony as well. But now I'm asking you from the perspective of somebody who's just starting out as an artist. What are, let's say, three pieces of advice? Okay, and I want unique ones from Tony and Yadu as well, because that's how we do
Okay.
Paisa Vasool. What would be? It's true, man. It's
What is
true.
this? What is this, like a classroom or something? You cannot repeat the same answer.
but but yeah, man, like in times like this, when young artists are lost, they're perhaps confused, or more importantly, they are overwhelmed, right? Because there is so much to do, and you guys are probably like higher up in this journey, right? Than somebody else's who's just starting out. By higher up means like you already put in years and years into this climb. But if I, as an artist, I was just starting out, what would be three things that you would tell me? Tony, you go first, then Yadu, and then Vikram. You can take it up and you can close the meeting. Okay, so Tony, all yours.
Wow, that's hard. It's a completely different ball game nowadays to when I started, because I think when I started it was it was a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, the whole music thing as a full time thing was kind of starting to not be looked on with so much disdain anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And as in not widespread, but there were, opinions were changing, especially if if you were doing so. If you are a musician nowadays, you have to do a bunch of things. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm playing with my band," and I'm not going to do anything else. I mean, unless you're, of course, in like Indian Ocean or the Raghu Dixit project, and
Old
something
school.
like that. Not old school. I mean, just as popular as they are.
Okay.
They can afford
Yeah.
to say, "I'm not doing any. I'm not doing anything. I'm just playing in my band." And you're like, "Okay, you can."
Yeah.
But and so one thing that's stayed the same between now and then is, yeah. So you have to do a bunch of things, like, so. I'm in a band. I'm in another band,
Mm-hmm.
and I teach a little bit. My best friend and I, he runs a music school. I teach, after school, and then I do studio work and stuff like that. So that's one thing you want to do. You want to not uh, just say, I am doing this one thing. It's great. In a perfect world, in a perfect situation, you'd be able to do your one thing, do your music, do your band's music, whatever it is, whatever it might be, and say, forget everything else. I'm going to do this. I'm going to perfect this one thing, and I'm going to present it to the world every year, or make an album, whatever it is. And that's, great. If you inherited a large sum of money from someone, go for it. That's the best thing that you can do.
True.
But otherwise, you have to be flexible. And I think a lot more nowadays than back when I started. I think people are aware of that. They don't. Most people, a lot more people than then.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come into this with any unrealistic expectations of what it is. They know they're going to have to do all these things, uh,
Right.
to survive. So, but just as an extra precaution for those who aren't aware of this, I think the first thing I'd say is be flexible, and don't get stuck ideologically in your head, saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. Don't ever say, I'm not going to play in this kind of situation because the music is beneath me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible, especially when you're starting up. As you get older, you can kind of pick and choose, and as you get more in the industry and more experience, and you have a portfolio, and uh, you have a network of people, you can say, okay, this stuff isn't really floating my boat anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to concentrate more on this and this and this. So, yeah, that was really long. So the first thing is just be open to doing all sorts of things. Not be open. I think seek it out. Do all sorts of things. Try your
Mhm.
hand at everything musical. Uh, One is because you have to survive. Secondly is because you never know if there's something you haven't tried before. If you haven't tried teaching, you might not know that you actually enjoy teaching. You might not know how much
Right.
you actually. It might be, you might want to stop performing and altogether because you enjoy teaching so much. So, try everything uh, once at least, and give it a, you know, give it a good try, not just, set foot into a classroom and say, I don't want to do this.
Right.
So that's one thing. I'll try and keep the other the other things less long. Um, Another thing. Oh, I should have said this one first actually, because it's the most important thing. And it's like, don't be a jerk. I mean, you're a musician. You're not, the king of the world or anything like that. You're just like anybody else with a job, and don't be difficult to work with because nothing is going to end your career faster than that.
So true.
You know,
So
it, you can't always say that. There are anomalies. You look at the Kanye West of the world, and you kind of find that it doesn't make sense. But those are the exceptions. And I'm sure he only became a jerk after he became like powerful enough and well known enough. So
Cool.
that's very important. Another thing is that I can say as an older person,
Mhm.
because I only found this out as an older person. Um, do what you can now, like with your craft, while you're still young, while you're not doing all the adulty stuff, because it's the best time, and you're gonna get the most time to do the stuff you need to do, build your musical foundation, whether it's production, whether it's you know expertise on your instrument, whether it's music. Listen to as much music as you can,
Mhm.
work out as much music as you can, and practice and do all of those things. Set the bar of what your foundation is really high,
Mhm.
because like speaking from personal experience, like again when I was starting out, the internet was what it was, text files, and so that's actually how I learned guitar. I
Okay.
learned from going to a cyber cafe, is what they were called. um, I learned from going there, downloading text files, putting them onto a disk, like a floppy disk, and taking them home and studying that stuff. um, and I didn't have the benefit of having someone who was very school. There were a couple of amazing people here in Bangalore, but they were not here a lot of the time. So,
Mhm.
I missed out on a huge chunk of things to learn, and I focused on a few things, but I left this whole wealth of information aside, and I only came upon it many, many years later, and then I felt like I was at such a disadvantage. And then you start doing the whole work thing, and it becomes harder to retain all this information when there's so many other things going on. So again, I was supposed to make that short, but it's unavoidable. But
All right, man. You're speaking from the heart, so it's all
yeah, so
fair
just
game.
big thing, learn as much as you can. Which is not to say you should stop learning. Once you start doing the
Mhm.
adulting stuff, it's a continuous thing, of course, but it's just the best thing to do to be able to build up as much as you can, go as far as you can, while you have nothing to worry about, while you're a kid and you're in college and
Mhm.
you're doing stupid things and whatever. Just do it then.
All right.
I think that was two things. Yeah,
I think so too.
maybe
Anyway,
10. I
thank
don't
you.
know.
Thank you for sharing, Tony. Appreciate that. Yadu, would you like to share your perspective as well, please?
Master Ugo has spoken everything out.
But now it's Master Shifu's turn. Tomo arigatou gozaimasu.
Shi- Shifu will just still build upon those. I mean, everything what he said is on point, man. I mean, I can only add to those things, saying, I want to start off with like standard advice. Practice, okay? Because if you want to reach your audience, your music should be good, right? And I mean, you got to upskill. I was just thinking about, I mean, when I started off, when I was in Joseph's, I was getting, Bryden was sharing me DVDs. Joseph. So we used to get concert videos of Rock in Rio, Iron Maiden, all the videos. Okay, and I used to watch it and didn't understand anything what the drummer was doing because no one there to help me out, to crack the fill or to crack that groove. Now you have things like Drumeo. They'll break it down to like T, right? Okay, you wanna move this left hand or the first arm, blah blah blah, and there's everything out there. And I really feel this is the time that there are a lot of competition as well because so many guys are like there are so as Tony said there are so many musicians now. There's so many. It's very easy. You can just wake up, open your laptop on the bed, take a practice pad, learn that fill. It was not the same thing back then. I had to go to college, ask for the keys from the attendant to open the jam room, to wait for that. It's so easier now. And that's
And
why
then
I'm
say
saying,
on a Chaudhary kit at the end.
Chaudhary, exactly. So things are so, and everything is out. Amazon will deliver practice pad in 1 day, less than a day. Yeah.
Wow.
And your Prime membership will come. It's super quick. I started teaching as well. And few of them asked me, can we start without the drum kit to start off with? I'm like, yes, of course you can start. But can we start without the practice pad? No, you can't. No, we need the practice pad. Okay, Amazon. Next day it's available. I had to take a bus to Majestic to go to Vietnam Musicals and get a practice pad and a bunch of side drums. There's not even Vickforth 5/8 available on Amazon right now. Why I'm saying all of these things? There's so many people doing this now, and if you are slightly behind, it won't. You got to keep pushing yourself. I mean, it's kind of sad to say that, that there is so much competition and you got to push yourself, but you got to do what you got to do.
I'm going to offer a slightly different perspective, Yadu. It's not competition.
Yeah.
It's what you're doing is popular, right? And there, unless you practice, you're not going to be able to find that voice that's going to help you stand out, right? Practice is, of course, about skill, but it's also about finding what is your unique angle to the whole thing. So please don't feel bad about saying
that. No. I mean, that's what you have to develop. You have to practice to develop what you are, to find out what you can offer, and you'll explore things about yourself once you practice and once you get to another level to understand, okay, this is me, this is what I do. So point number one, practice. And before even getting to promote yourself, make sure you're good. That'll be the point. And of course the other points, like considering today's scenario, I mean, I just can't be a drummer and be happy saying, what, I don't want to care about what the other person is doing. I mean, I have to also be melodically sound. And when it comes to another musician, this is what's happening. I mean, I've seen this in many scenarios. This is only with respect to musicians. I mean, each one have to be open to every other instrument. So to develop as a musician, to come out as a musician.
Thank you for
we need
saying
to focus
that.
on. Yeah. It is important.
I'll tell you why as well. Remember how I spoke about one leg of the pie and the other leg of the pie? What you just said is that horizontal bar that comes up on top. You have to be able to connect, and you need to have that breadth of experience as well. So thank you for sharing all of that, Yadu, and thank you, Tony, as well. Holy crap, it's been an hour, but thank you so much. I had a ton of fun. And Vikram, over to you, man. Please, let's tie this up.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't thank you guys enough for coming here and making this happen. So grateful and thankful for you folks, taking the time out and doing this with us. For people listening, you've heard so many useful aspects about what the new normal is, and that we need to adapt to changing times and everything else. We need to be grateful for our supporting communities and people who continue to strongly support us during these times, right? And even beyond. So if you're passionate about what you do and if you want to monetize it, get on to gigsy.in and get started, right? Set up your profile, sell subscriptions, sell products, sell multimedia courses, and guess what? All for free. You can upload unlimited content and set your own prices. You are the boss. You get your own membership site for free, right? and we even handhold you and make you earn your first $1,000 on the platform. So we will make money only when you do. We just take a 5% cut on every transaction that happens on the platform, on your profile. So get started. It's never too late. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Yadu. And thank you,
Thank-
Vikram.
thank
And
you.
thank
Thank
you
you. Thank you.
for watching.
Good to see you, Yadu.